And now let's turn you over to our colleague, Bill Velasco. Bill?
Thanks, Dennis and Boyet. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about the history of the word battle royale, which is a term that has become very popular, particularly in professional wrestling, wherein you get a lot of combatants fighting each other inside the ring. Now, this actually originated in boxing, and it is actually a very dark time in the history of the sport. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. If you look at all the pre-AD accounts of boxing and hand-to-hand combat, generally they're just two warriors fighting each other with bare knuckles. And you see this in ancient pottery, you see this in ancient drawings. Nagsimula po talaga yan dahil sa dalawang panahon. No? Nung una, ito ay para makapag-ensayo ang mga sundalo nung mga panahon na yun. As you know, there were no long-range weapons at the time, save for spears and later on catapults. And so hand-to-hand combat was very important. Now, in case that you were deprived of your weapons, all you had really were daggers and your bare hands. Now, on the other side, during Roman times, as you all know, they were very bloodthirsty. They had a lot of people fighting each other to the death, either for survival or for their freedom. No, yung mga bihag po nila, ipinaglalaban po nila. Minsan may mga gamit na sandata, minsan wala. You know, and then came along the creation of the primitive boxing gloves, originally known as cestus or cesta in plural. They were made of leather and metal and had often spikes or knobs on them, or even just basically covered the knuckles to protect them. But sometimes they even had poison, so nobody would survive that fight. That was purely for the entertainment of the masses and the elite, especially when there were uprisings about to be done. It was called the bread and circuses tactic, wherein you just give people bread or food to temporarily stave off their hunger, at lilibangin mo lang sila para makalimutan nila yung mga sama ng loob nila sa mga namumuno sa kanila. Now, this persisted well into the modern era until the time of slavery in the U.S., prior to the creation of the Marquis of Queensberry rules. One of the ways in which rich slave owners entertained themselves was something they created called the battle royale. They would get a handful of slaves, blindfold them or cover their heads in sacks, put them together either inside the ring or just inside the living room, and encircle them and have them beat each other without knowing who they were fighting until only one of them was left standing. At pinagpupustahan pa ho yung mga alipin nila na naglalaban-laban. And this was really a very dark time in the abuse of human rights. And this misuse of boxing, you know, for racism purposes persisted even after the creation of the Marquis of Queensberry rules, when supposedly boxers were supposed to be gentlemen and they were supposed to fight with honor and with dignity. It was also used as a weapon to keep African Americans or persons of color from equally competing against their white counterparts. It was only until the time of Jack Johnson that a legitimate champion, other than all these talented white individuals, rose to the forefront. And that is the dark story of the battle royale and the abuse of boxing against non-white persons.